here at the Sepang International Circuit. Testing, 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 test signal, test signal. Hope all is going well, hope all is going well. Testing, 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 testing. How did the race finish yesterday? It was Kunimine ahead of Istihar. Thank you, Victor. Highlights with music, no talking, correct? Thank you. And there you have it. That was our winner from yesterday, Takuma Kunimine. Welcome to the Sepang International Circuit for the second race here of the Shell Advance Asia Talent Cup. Well, I say second race, it is the final race of the season. The second race here in Malaysia. We had the first one yesterday afternoon. It was won by Takuma Kunimine ahead of Andy Istihar and Yuta Date. There is still a championship to play for down from second position. We do already have a champion though. Dylan Gray here with you, alongside me, Matt Burt. If you've just been watching MotoGP, hope you've got your breath back after that exciting race, but we do have one more to go.
Yeah, there is the man starting on pole position. He's dominated this final round of the 2015 Shell Advance Asia Talent Cup. The Japanese rider Takuma Kunimine. Pole position, quickest in both practice sessions, pole for the first time this year, and then he was the dominant winner in the opening race here at the Sepang International Circuit. A comfortable win by 3.3 seconds over Andy Istihar. There is the new champion, 2015 Shell Advance Asia Talent Cup winner Ayumu Sasaki. Wrapped up the championship, of course, 2 weeks ago today at the Twin Ring Motegi in Japan. Sasaki was fourth in yesterday's race. Takuma Kunimine, we've seen some great battles so far this year in the Asia Talent Cup, but he made it a one-man show. Behind him, though, there was some pretty hot and frantic action with Andy Istihar second, and then 1.3 seconds down to Jerry Salim in 9th place. And there is Jerry Salim, the Indonesian, on the front row of the grid.
Yeah, Salim, I mean, he was up there in the early stages of that race yesterday, but he just got, once it started fanning out just a tiny little bit, he just dropped off the pace. It was really Kunimine. He was so stunning that, that he managed to pull away. Well, it was this man here. He was always in the mix. Yuta Date, the number 6. Well, right in that very last corner, right towards the very end, he made his move. He made it stick. And what was it? He was only third by 0.006 seconds. So close with Istihar.
Yeah, 16 years old, the Japanese rider. It was his third podium finish of the season. Next to Yuta Date on that second row of the grid is the Malaysian, the highest qualifying home rider in this 13-lap race, Shafiq Rasool, on the number 3 machine, 18 years old, from Malaysia. 4 podium finishes last year, including a win here in Sepang, but he's not been on the podium so far this season. This man has. He was on the podium, 24 hours ago. Andy Istihar, and he led that freight train behind Takuma Kunimine. Did a good job yesterday, Dylan.
Yeah, very good, Istihar. There were points at the start of the race where you thought, can he keep up with Kunimine? He was even leading at times. And do you know what the main thing for him, Matt, was that disappointment from Motegi. He had to get over that because he was leading there by a country mile and then unfortunately crashed out. So great way to bounce back from that.
There's number 10. Adam Noureddin, another of the Malaysian riders in this field, heading up that second row of the grid. Noureddin was 7th actually in the race yesterday. Doesn't tell the full story, because he was only 1.3 seconds off second place. He was locked in that great fight for second and third place. Joining him on that third row is number 20, his fellow Malaysian Azroy Anwar. It was Anwar that a lot of these riders actually finished in their qualifying positions in yesterday's race. Adam Noureddin qualified 7th, finished 7th. Anwar qualified 8th and finished in 8th place. One man who was on the move in yesterday's opening 13-lap race was Fakhrusi Rostam, the number 17, who he came from 9th place on the grid and was right in podium contention, finished 5th.
Yeah, it was all around kind of turn 9, 10, 11. Do you remember on that final lap? Because you even had Noureddin up there within podium contention at one point. Just a few mistakes around that very tight turn as we take another look at Sasaki. I mean, brimming with confidence. Yesterday probably wasn't what he would have expected. Especially once you've won the championship, you think, maybe you can be that little bit more relaxed. But it's just Kunimine, who lies in second place now with 142 points in the championship standings. He's got to defend it from Masaki, who has 127 points, but Kunimine has just really made this track his own, hasn't he?
Yeah, as we said earlier on, he has been untouchable. The number 21 in pole position at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Yeah, he's quickest in those 2 practice sessions on Friday. Pole position yesterday, and then a commanding winner in race 1. 22 is Ayumu Sasaki, the newly crowned champion. That 4th place for Sasaki yesterday. Shows how outstanding his 2015 campaign has been. It was only the second time that he's finished off the podium this year, and that's why, well, with 2 races to go in Motegi a couple of weeks ago, he was able to wrap up the championship on home soil. Good boost for him. Nothing better than winning a prestigious title like the Shell Advance Asia Talent Cup than doing it in front of your home crowd.
No, exactly. I mean, that gave him a big boost. But what can they do in front of the Malaysian crowd? Matt, it's worth talking about conditions. It is a little bit hotter. It is a little bit more humid than it was yesterday. However, before yesterday's race, there had been a few spots of rain which could have played on their minds, maybe just hindered their confidence ever so slightly. Today, they do not have any of that. They've seen 3 fantastic races, Moto3, Moto2 and MotoGP. We won't give anything away, but we know the track is absolutely ideal. But physically, it's going to be tough for him.
Yeah, it's been an incredible 25th Malaysian Grand Prix here at the Sepang International Circuit. As Dylan said, we won't give anything away, but they were 3 breathless, breathtaking races that took place earlier. If we're going to get half of the drama and tension and action in this 13-lap Shell Advance Asia Talent Cup race, you won't want to be going anywhere. Trust us, this could be a cracking way to finish the second running of the Shell Advance Asia Talent Cup. Of course, this Adorna-led initiative with the support of Shell Advance to help develop and nurture young, promising, talented riders in the Asia-Pacific region. We've got Australian talent in this race, also coming into next year's championship. And Yuma Sasaki, number 22 there, he's started to make a bit of a name for himself overseas in Europe as well. The European Grand Prix fans might be familiar with Sasaki's name. Of course, he was 3rd in the Red Bull Rookies Cup race, which frequently runs on the support programme of European Grand Prix races. So Sasaki plying his trade. Of course, when you're on the support race of the Grand Prix, you're showing what you can do in the best shot window possible. All the World Championship team managers are here, keeping a close eye on what these young men are doing, keeping an eye on them as potential rider options for the future.
And it's so good that he's showing that potential as well on 2 different types of machinery. In the Asia Talent Cup, they run Honda machinery on Bridgestone tyres. In the Red Bull Rookies, they are with KTM machinery using Dunlop tyres. So that also shows that he has this fantastic versatility going from one bike to the next and can still win championships on that. Now, we are joining them on track. They're just peeling around turn number 11 and through this very fast turn number 12. You will see it as they peel in there to the left. Here we see number 6, Yuta Date. He was involved in the fight. Istihar as well, taking it nice and easy on that warm-up lap.
Yeah, Istihar will probably feel that second place he took yesterday afternoon was a little bit of payback for missing out on winning the race at the Twin Ring Motegi in Japan, on one of the races that took place as part of the support race programme for the Japanese Grand Prix, because he led by 5 seconds when he crashed out in pretty tricky conditions. As far as the championship goes, it's all elementary at the front. Sasaki is the champion this year, 52 points clear of Kunimine. Masaki with an outside chance, you have to say, of taking second place from Kunimine in that championship battle. There's 15 points the gap between the 2 riders. It's advantage Kunimine after that big win yesterday. In fact, the 15 points that he does lead Masaki, he picked up in yesterday's opening 13-lap race. So here we go then, we're all set for the final round of the 2015 Shell Advance Asia Talent Cup here at the Sepang International Circuit in Malaysia. Will Yuma Sasaki conclude a memorable season for him by taking the win in this final race? And what about the likes of Kunimine, who has been Mr. Sepang here this weekend? Will he go out with a bang in Sepang? We're about to find out here in Malaysia.
Yeah, red flag is up. Nerves starting to come together. This drag down to the first line is going to be so important, especially that turn into turn number 1 and round number 2. Lights go red. Off they go. Good start there from the number 22, Sasaki, also from Kunimine around the outside. Also number 4 bike, Jerry Salim, just up the outside of Sasaki. Sasaki riding very defensively into that first turn.
Yeah, Sasaki's got the inside line though on the brakes down into turn number 1. Will Salim ride bravely around the outside? He does indeed. So it's Jerry Salim, the Indonesian, that's the early leader in this 13-lap race. Sasaki has been pushed back a couple of places because Takuma Kanimine, the man from Pole, who got not a sluggish start off the line, but not the start he made certainly in yesterday's race. He's already taken second place from Sasaki as the field now peel up to this turn number 4.
Yeah, and look at that, Masaki, the man who is still trying to get second place. He got swallowed up in that grid. Masaki down to 14th place now. He's going to have a real tough job on his hand to claw his way up to the front as they peel it round turn number 5. Kunimine stuck in there just behind Salim as they flick it right round to turn number 6.
Well, what these riders would have learned yesterday is if Takuma Kanimine can get clear track in front of him, as he has now, because he's taken the lead in this race coming out of turn number 6. If he's got clear track in front of him, the 17-year-old Japanese rider, well, he has got the pace, he's got the consistency to make a breakaway at the front of this field. The onus now that on 22, Sasaki, on 4, Salim. They started on the front row of the grid with Kanimine. Can they go with his pace?
Yeah, and that was just the number 3 bike of Shafiq Rasul, I think, going up the inside of Salim, was it? No, it was actually up the inside of Istihar. Istihar managed to get back around and turn number 11, flick it left through turn number 12. So Kunimine already starting to put a couple of bike lengths between himself and Sasaki.
Yeah, Kanimine going for the clean sweep in this race too. Headed practice 1, headed practice 2. Stuck it on pole position, then won race 1. So can he make it a picture-perfect record this weekend in Malaysia? They power down this long back straight. It's Kanimine that will lead coming down to the final corner to complete the first lap. Sasaki in second place. Salim then behind him on the number 4, and it is Salim that makes a move up the inside of Sasaki on the brakes down into that final corner. So it's now Salim from Sasaki from Istihar that's starting to lead the chase on Kanimine.
Yeah, such a trademark move going into that final turn, and this is one thing they'll have to work out, the slipstreaming down that main straight. Yesterday Kunimine showed us if you can get about 3 or 4 tenths between you as you come out of that turn, you will not be caught. But look at that, this is Sasaki up the inside of Salim round turn number 1. Can Salim take him back around turn number 2? No, he's not close enough. Istihar right in behind Rasul, and then Noradin, the number 10 bike, in 6th place.
Yeah, where's number 9, Agura? We saw him running pretty strong in the race yesterday when he was an early faller at turn number 9. He's shown a lot of promise of late, has the 14-year-old Japanese rider. So much promise that he's actually been on the podium on a regular basis of late. He won round 8 in China. He's down in 11th place at the moment, so not the best opening lap from Agura.
No, very tough, but keep an eye out for the number 2 bike, Masaki. He's been swallowed up even further. He's now, he was 15th as they crossed the finish line. He managed to fight his way just back up briefly to 13th, but if he wants any chance of second, he's going to have to beat Kunimine. You know, that's the minimum requirement, and then he'd have to wait for Kunimine, you know, something to actually happen to him. So they drag it down to turn number 9, passing point here. Will Sasaki go past on the brakes? He's going to give it a try, not quite close enough.
Powering out of turn number 9 then through this long sweeping 10 before it tightens up round turn number 11. It is Kanimine that leads from Sasaki, then it is Salim in 3rd place. Istihar still holding 4th. He was on the podium yesterday in 2nd place. What about Yuta Date? He was the man in 3rd yesterday. He's just running down in 7th place on the number 6 machine. There he is, just at the back of this lead group of 7 riders. It's Ryusai Yamanaka that's trying to go with this lead group. Yamanaka pulling around Anwar and Atarat Puvapat.
Yeah, if you think Date yesterday, he was also, you know, he hung around mid-group. I think he was more than happy getting a bit of a tow, even towards the very end. And if we remember, he actually made a bit of a mistake, didn't he? And still managed to recover from that to get onto the podium. So mid-pack is not going to worry an awful lot of these guys. It's only if Kunimine starts pulling away. And look at this, he crosses that start-finish line, so he's got a gap of 0.4 seconds. Matt, I think we're already starting to see a little bit of a repeat from yesterday.
Yeah, fastest lap of the race, and on that second lap by Kanimine, a 2:19.501. It was only a fraction quicker than Sasaki in 2nd place. It's very hot and humid now out on track at the Sepang International Circuit. Let's just have a quick look at Yuta Date's lap record from yesterday. 2:17.980. So, yeah, you can see how slippery and tricky the track conditions are out there in these increased track temperatures, because they're, what, 1.6 seconds actually off lap record pace.
Yeah, I mean, obviously still full fuel tanks bedding in, but Matt, absolutely right. It is so much hotter, so much more humid there today. Okay, they don't have this worry of whether there are any wet patches out on track to see Kunimine. So Sasaki has managed to make up ground. He's right on the rear wheel of Kunimine. Salim right in behind. Istihar, Date, Rasol in 6th place, and then Noradin just stuck in there behind.
Yeah, number 11 there, Helmi Asman, just running a little bit wide as they came through that fast turn number 8. Down hard on the brakes into this very tricky turn number 9. Seen a few of the experienced Grand Prix riders caught out in the braking zone down there throughout this weekend. Through 11, it is still Kunimine then that leads the race.
Yeah, of course, he's going to be, he's going to be very aware that he's got all those riders right behind him down to Noradin. So it's a freight train of 6 bikes. Now, yesterday he did start pulling away. It was around mid distance, so we still have another good 4 or 5 laps to go before he might want to put the hammer down. Of course, the guys behind him, they're going to be very aware. Okay, we can get a slipstream off him, as we are seeing now from Sasaki. But of course, it's one thing having the slipstream. The next thing is actually using it, not missing your braking markers. We saw some of that from the guys into turn 1 yesterday a few times, Matt. Yeah,
so Sasaki taking full advantage of the slipstream down that long back straight. He's taking the lead at the final corner as they come to complete the end of the 3rd lap. 10 to go here in Malaysia. It's Sasaki from Kunimine from Yuta Date. Lap time is dropping quite considerably. It's Masaki on the number 2 bike there, just off the back of this lead group of 7 that's just put in the best lap of the race so far, a 2:18.6, and that's actually, what, 0.7 of a second quicker than the race leader Sasaki. There he is, fastest lap to Masaki.
Yeah, up to 8th place now. I mean, this is that's probably a bit more like it from the Japanese rider. We saw some great things from him in Japan last time out. Is this the move up the inside of the number 13 bike of Atirat Puvapat? Oh, that was up 13 and past Anwar at the same time. Fantastic move there from Masaki under the brakes.
He was obviously watching Andrea Iannone in Phillip Island last weekend, was he? If you remember watching that classic Australian Grand Prix, Andrea Iannone firing his Ducati up the inside of Valentino Rossi and Marc Marquez. Well, anything a former Grand Prix winner Andrea Iannone can do, Masaki can do better.
Well, exactly. You're on the right stage to advertise this now, because you've actually got those guys there. You've got their team managers there to watch.
Well, I think if Andrea Iannone had pulled that move off himself, he'd have been pretty happy with that one. Down the brakes into turn number 9. Kunimine, though, is back at the front of this race. Not for much longer, though, because Sasaki fights back immediately through turn number 9.
Yeah, Yuta Date staying firm in 3rd place. Istihar, the number 23 bike, he just dropped down to 5th. Very, very brief. Look at this, Date up the inside of Kunimine in 11. No, he can't make it stick. He's just lost a little bit of ground there, Matt. When you go offline, it's so tough to really keep that momentum, because then it starts to flow. Yeah, he was running just far too tight a line trying to go through turn number 11. You could see quite clearly how much that broke up his momentum. He's dropped back now, Date, down to 7th place. But so it was... yeah, a brave move. He'll learn from that, of course. He'll know that that's a strategy that he won't be able to employ next time around, as they pile down the back straight for the 4th time in this race. Number 3, Shafiq Rasol, is starting to come into contention. There he is around the outside of Sasaki, going into the final corner. Pick the bike up now and accelerate. Sorry, it's Sasaki that still leads the way. It was a move up the inside of Istihar by number 3, Shafiq Rasol, the Malaysian. Qualified in the middle of that 2nd row of the grid. And he was the fastest man actually on track in the top 6 on that previous lap, the number 3. And he now leads the way. Does he lose it a little bit too hard? Chops the nose off of Sasaki at the first corner. So Rasol, for the first time in this race, leads the way. That was very good, Matt. I was sure he was going to run wide then when we saw that twitch on the front, the line he was taking in. For him to pull that back round again, that was absolutely fantastic. So yes, Sasaki in tow, Istihar, Kunimine. And this is now good to watch. So, okay, so Kunimine up to 3rd now, but it's that battle Kunimine Masaki 3rd to 7th. So Masaki nowhere near close enough to try and even steal a 2nd place from him, but he is at least now within that group.
Yeah, 18 years of age. Shafiq Rasool, the Malaysian, riding, of course, on home soil here in Sepang. As we said, 4 podium finishes when we saw him on the grid in 5th place. 4 podiums last year, including a win here 1 year ago when the Shell Advance Asia Talent Cup was on the support programme for World Superbikes. But only a best of 6 earlier on this season, so he's not had a podium finish this year, Rasool. He's looking to make amends. He's dropped back, though, on the sweep down to turn number 9 because it's the pole man, Takuma Kanimine, that's hit the front yet again.
Yeah, Kanimine seems extremely strong around the first 2 sectors, doesn't he?
Just like he was yesterday,
yes,
wasn't he?
Yeah. No, very, very strong. And you do wonder, when is he going to start pulling away? We are on lap 4 of 13, so there are 9 laps to go. You know, obviously when these guys battle so much, they're going to be losing time. They're not going to be setting the kind of lap times that they want to. I mean, they're in the 2:20s, 2:19s now. You know, considering yesterday was a 2:17, yes, you can talk about conditions, but they're not that much worse. So it's all this battling that is going to be holding them up. And I think Kanimine now knows that. And if you can see, he's already starting to put a little bit of daylight between himself and Sasaki, who leads that group, that big group of 11 riders all the way down to Asman.
Yeah, this has got a hint of yesterday's race about it just a little bit, because Kanimine, he kind of just sat there in the lead group for the first 3 or 4 laps, and then once he'd got into his rhythm, got a feel for the grip levels, worked just how the bike was behaving underneath him, he really did decide to get his head down, and that's exactly what he's done here on lap 5. 8 to go, a 2:19.340 from Kanimine, and that opened up a 0.6 of a second lead on Sasaki. On that last lap, Kanimine was a full second quicker than Sasaki. We've got a fallen rider, Kaita Fuse. He was battling down in 15th place, was the Japanese rider.
That's a fast one down turn 12, isn't it?
Cool.
Is that coming left through turn 12,
yeah,
where John McPhee had a crash on Saturday?
Yeah, it's a nasty old crash there. You go in there, it's really bumpy on the entry. Bike gets him settled, you're just feeding the power back in. Probably, I would guess, until we see the replay, that the rear probably just stepped out on him. The bike's certainly gone through the AstroTurf run. I've come back onto the track. Plenty of time though. This long 3.44 miles Malaysian venue, giving the marshals ample time to clear the track, making it safe for these riders to come through on this next lap. Kanimine then that leads the way. Sasaki's just taken a couple of tenths back on him through the second split on this lap number 6.
Well, they have settled down just a little bit, haven't they? I think some of them have now realised, look, the more we battle, the more Kanimine will be getting away at the front. Atirak Puvapat has didn't listen to that. Oh, look at that. Up the inside of turn number 1. Someone just got a little bit out of shape coming into that turn due to Atirak Puvapat's move, but all of them safely through. This is now where we come to, so this is where we would have seen Kaita Fuse crash as they bank it round to the left. Let's hope they all get through here safely. And look at that, Sasaki really reducing that gap now down to just 4 tenths again.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Atirak Puvapat, he's not shy, is he, going on the brakes into turn number 9. It was on the last lap yesterday, wasn't it, where he got in a bit hot. There was a bit of contact with another rider. That effectively cost him a chance of finishing on the podium, didn't it?
Yes.
Atirak Puvapat, because he fought brilliantly through from the back of the 4th row of the grid in 12th place, just as he has done in this afternoon's 13-lap race. We're about to complete lap number 6. Kanimine, as he did yesterday, just trying to break away from that chasing pack. The gap was almost 0.8 of a second through that 3rd split. Then here comes Kanimine to cross the line to start lap number 7, and he's done another personal best lap of the race, Kanimine, as have Sasaki and Salim. But they're having to fight really hard to go with Kanimine's pace, because the gap now is up to nearly 0.9 of a second.
Yeah, low 2:1.19s. That's getting a little bit closer to what we would have seen in the race yesterday. They're battling up the inside through turn number 2. And here we're just about to see a replay. This is coming into turn number 9, down through the gears. Kanimine, look how bumpy it is on the brakes going into there. You've got to be so careful not to lose the front.
Yeah, once he's established that gap, Kanimine, as we saw yesterday, it's very hard to chase down. Those riders, they won't want to be letting that gap edge out to over a second, because that could be game over as far as the victory fight goes with Takuma Kanimine, of course, as he does. Oh, that big crash.
That is a bit.
Yeah, well, the problem there was, it was Was that Sasaki?
I think it was.
No,
I think it was, because he was in second place. Whoever it was in second place, and now you have Kunimine and Masaki at the top of the group.
I think it was Salim on the number 4 has definitely had a crash. 23 is Andy Izdihar, the man who was second in the race yesterday. We've definitely lost Jerry Salim. Just trying to find out.
Sasaki's still in there. Sasaki's in third.
So yeah, it was
Rostam.
Rostam. I think it was number 4. It was Salim, actually. There was the initial crash through turn number 5. Yeah, it was. Whoa. Salim lost the rear coming through turn number 5, and as his bike careered across the track, so unlucky for Rostam and for Izdihar. They just had absolutely nowhere to go. Just on the throttle a little bit too early was Salim.
Oh, nothing they could do.
Absolutely nothing.
And you know what? That is a very, very fast corner. It's the good news is that they are all walking away from that. That is really fast coming around that turn number 6.
Well, that's really broken up that chasing group behind Takuma Kunimine. Yeah, it was Jerry Salim. You know, you're just trying to feed the power back in. You're carrying a lot of lean angle through that turn number 5, so you're on the edge of the tyre. The tyres will be starting to get very slippery and greasy on the edge, and just a fraction too hard on the power, and just a rear stepping out from underneath him. Salim was quickly on his feet, and thankfully it did look like Fakhrusi Rostam and Andy Izdihar, who were the innocent parties caught up in that collision. They were slow to their feet, but they did look like they were okay and uninjured in that crash. But what it means is Takuma Kunimine, who's just put in another personal best lap of the race. He's improved now to a 2:19.001, and he's got that lead over Masaki up to 1.3 seconds.
Yeah, but I mean, this is now essentially the championship battle that we probably were looking for, because Masaki is currently in third place in the championship, 127. Kunimine with 142, so there is a 15 points difference there. Obviously, it's not such a case of, you know, those two fighting with each other. Masaki would have to win, and Kunimine would have to, you know, really drop quite far back. But nonetheless, Masaki is out there. He needs to win. He needs to get those points. That's the only way he stands any kind of chance of potentially finishing up second in that championship, with Sasaki right behind him and Atirat Puvapat right on the rear wheel of Sasaki as they fire it out towards turn number 9.
That was a good move by Atirat Puvapat up the inside of Rasol, down into turn number 6, and he's a man on the charge, is Atirat Puvapat, number 13, the 19-year-old Thai rider. He's had a couple of wins this year in that round 2 at his home track in Thailand, and in fact he was a winner here in Sepang when the Shell Advance Asia Talent Cup came on the support programme for World Superbikes a little bit earlier on in the summer. Pole position in the opening round, or the second round rather, in Qatar. So Atirat Puvapat, he has got winning pedigree in the championship this year. He's, what, 16 points behind Masaki in third place. So Atirat Puvapat. But what it does mean, that crash for Jerry Salim and Andy Izdihar, it means that Atirat Puvapat actually now should be pretty safe and secure in fourth place, because they were his two closest rivals. And with Ayagura, who has really struggled in this second race, obviously had a bit of a confidence knock yesterday with that very early crash.
Yeah, massively.
And he's made no impression at all so far in this race. He's down in 10th place.
Yeah, and in terms of how far he is off, I mean, he's about 7.6 seconds, so even if he was to get a bit more confidence, it'd be so tough to claw anything back on that group, really. He might be able to get a little bit closer to Asman. Going to be tough, though. But look at this. Kunimine is now firmly in charge of the race. The first people, 2:18, so a 2:18.603 from Kunimine, fastest lap of the race. And then Masaki, just bettered that with a 2:18.543 just afterwards. So we only have those two and Atirat Puvapat into the 2:18s on this lap.
Yeah, anything that Kunimine can do, Masaki seems to do better by about a tenth of a second at the moment, but he's not making any significant steps towards putting pressure on Kunimine at the front. Those two are broken clear of this quartet battling for third place. It is the champion, Ayumu Sasaki, that does hold the advantage at the moment. This is where Atirat Puvapat's been really strong through turn 6, and he's close enough now. Will he have a look up the inside of Sasaki, down on the brakes into turn number 7? No, not quite close enough. He'll certainly be lining up the move, though, on Sasaki, you'd imagine, down in the braking zone for turn number 9.
Yeah, a great fight there for the final podium position. Into turn 9, you've got to think this is the tightest corner on the track. Sometimes the TV doesn't do it justice, just how much it goes back on itself, how tight it is going uphill, but Sasaki manages to hold his line. Achirat Puvapart not quite able to go past. Here we see yet again another replay of that crash for number 4, Jerry Salim.
Well, I'll tell you what, Achirat Puvapart and number 6, Yuta Date, they were the two riders. The unlucky riders in that incident were Rostam and Izdihar. The fortunate riders were Yuta Date and Achirat Puvapart, because they came mighty, mighty close to colliding with Salim's bike as it slid down the track. That high side coming out of turn number 5. His bike actually ended up in the gravel at turn 6. There's Kanimine though. 5 or 4 and a bit laps to go in this final round of the 2015 Shell Advance Asia Talent Cup battle. And it looks like Kanimine is going to complete a race double unless he makes a howler in these last 4 laps. It's all about the battle for the last place on the podium between Sasaki, Achirat Puvapart, Rasol and Noureddin.
But you know what, Matt, this race is not over because Masaki was just 3/10 faster on that last lap than Kunimine, and he's only 9/10 behind him. If he can keep up that pace, we have 4 laps to go, he could be catching him by that final lap. Okay, it wouldn't give him second in the championship, but certainly bragging rights for the race, and of course a win.
Well, you know, you do wonder, because he's putting in a really good pace actually, Masaki, 0.3 of a second quicker than Kanimine on that last lap, but is he just burning up his tyres as he tries to hunt down Kanimine for the victory? As we said, it's so hot here today in Malaysia. Rear grip issues will be absolutely key in the vital 3.5 laps of this race. It's Achirat Puvapart then now that leads this 4-rider battle, this exciting 4-rider battle for 3rd place. What's the gap now? Masaki, well, you called it absolutely right, Dylan. This race is not over by a long shot. It hasn't taken a howler by Kanimine, it's taken a blistering fight back by the number 2, Kazuki Masaki, trying to deny Kanimine the chance of taking a win double here in Malaysia. The gap will check through that second split.
Really
tense.
Really pulling away now from that from the group led by Sasaki, about 3.5 seconds already ahead. So that's for those guys to catch it will be very, very difficult. And I think we just saw early on, it was one of the guys, might have been even Sasaki, signaling, look, just try and stick with me, stay with me. But the order has now changed. It's Achirat Puvapart leading ahead of, Noureddin in 10th, is just 3rd in that group. Rasol in there, and Sasaki's dropped all the way back. He's now in 6th place in that group. Maybe this is him saying, do you know what, I've been leading for a while, you guys can now burn up your tyres trying to catch Masaki.
Yeah, Yuta Date, just going through your screen there, the number 6 through turns 13 and 14. He's 1.5 seconds back of this battle for the podium, so don't rule out the 16-year-old Japanese rider. 3rd podium finish of the year for him. And here we go, look at this. This is Masaki. He's taken the lead. He started this at lap number 10, a full second behind Takuma Kanimine, and he's now taken the lead at the final corner. So this race not over by a long shot. Takuma Kanimine, he's been running in those high 218s for much of this race. Well, what a lap there by Masaki. He's the first man into the 217s in this race. 1.1 seconds faster than Kanimine on that lap. Now he's got a reference in front of him, Kanimine. Can he go and match the pace of Masaki? Because Masaki, he had that, Kanimine was like the carrot being dangled in front of him. He could use Kanimine as a reference. Now Masaki is in front. Kanimine can see exactly what Masaki's got in his final 3 laps. Will Masaki be able to make a crucial break at the front?
Well, I'm not so sure whether he can break away, Matt, because looking at yesterday's times, Kunimine, we know, is able to drop into those 217s. However, it's only if he is struggling with these track conditions. I mean, the fastest time yesterday set by Sasaki, I think it was a 2:17.285. No, sorry, that was the qualifying lap set. But even so, these guys, they can drop into that. So it'll be fantastic to see what's going to come up after those first couple of sectors. But it already looks like Masaki might be able to just pull a tiny little bit.
This is the thrilling fight for victory in the final round of the 2015 Shell Advance Asia Talent Cup. It's advantage number 2, Masaki, from his fellow Japanese rival, number 21, Kanimine. 4 podium finishes this year for Masaki, the 15-year-old Japanese rider, including, of course, a win only 2 weeks ago in race 2 at the Twin Ring Motegi in Japan. It was some fairly late drama there. In fact, it was late drama, actually, a last lap crash for Kanimine. that cost him the chance of fighting for the championship here in Sepang with the Yumu Sasaki. These two are a long way clear of Rasol in third place, so this is the fight for the victory.
Yeah, fight for the victory. Wouldn't change anything in terms of their championship standings, though, because that would still put Takuma Kunimine, he'd still finish second. Masaki would, however, cement his third place because he has Atirat Puvapat right behind him in the championship, but also behind him on track. Now, yes, Matt, as you said, almost a full 5 seconds down to that group. But this fight is not over yet. Masaki peels it round turn number 14, this final turn. Who leads into this final turn from the following group? It is Atirat Puvapat, the number 13, ahead of Noradin, Rasol. And look at that, Yuta Date has joined the party. Sasaki at the end of the group. What can they do in the slipstream as they come across the line?
Yeah, Yuta Date, as we said, he came from 1.5 seconds back on the last lap to tag right into this lead group. Kunimine then back at the front on the penultimate lap here at the Sepang International Circuit in Malaysia. About 7 miles of this race to run. Will it be Masaki on the number 2 machine? Will it be Takuma Kunimine looking for the double win here in Sepang? They are 5.5 seconds clear of Atirat Puvapat in third place. There's a really good fight going on behind for that third place with the likes of Atirat Puvapat, Rasol, Noradin, Date and the new champion Sasaki. But back to the front of this great fight for the victory between Masaki and Kunimine. Through turn number 5 we go for the penultimate time. Masaki's not been able to break away from Kunimine as yet.
Well, Masaki actually dropped his pace by a full second on that last lap when he was with Kunimine. Kunimine, does he try it up the inside? No, he doesn't. Let's peel it round 7, peel it round turn number 8. The next passing opportunity is going to be when they get this short drag down this short straight towards turn number 9, this key braking zone that we've talked about so much. Kunimine, no, he decides not to try it this time. Is he just holding his nerve? Is he going to attempt so on the final lap?
Yeah, you say about him dropping his lap time by a second, it's kind of a classic example of what it's like when you're chasing somebody. When you've got a reference, you can get into your groove and use them as your target, and then you improve your pace. When you're at the front and leading that group, it becomes a completely different proposition. This is this unbelievable fight for third place. Bit of contact, bit of paint swapping down at the first corner. Through 14 then for the penultimate time for the two men fighting it out for the victory in this final round here in Malaysia. Down the back straight comes Masaki and Kunimine. Masaki looks like he's got a bit of a gap. Kunimine won't be able to slipstream him, will he? He tries to pop out from the clear air. No, he's not close enough to make a move down into the braking zone for the final corner. So it will be Masaki that will start the final lap here in Sepang, leading the race.
Well, if there's one thing we know from Moto 3 is you do not want to be leading. If you are very close to someone, don't lead going onto that back straight. Will Kunimine know that? Will he have been working out how close he can get to Masaki?
Hey, Yuta Date's got to the front of that second group. Brilliant from the Japanese rider, chasing what would be a second successive podium finish for him this weekend. He's now been passed by number 10, Adam Noradin. This is going to chop and change more than one time, trust me, on this final lap. Here we are, though. They are the race leaders sweeping through this beautiful, magnificent turn number 3. It is still Masaki that leads the way. Will Kunimine attack on the brakes down into turn number 4? Not quite close enough.
And this is Kunimine's strongest sectors, man. Sector 1, Sector 2. You'd imagine he'd want to try and make a pass, but the clever thing would probably be to stick on his rear wheel right until the very end of turn number 14. The key is don't make a mistake and try and get close enough. Masaki, he will know that he'll try and pull just a little bit of a gap. We know it takes about just over 3/10 leading into the final turn, and then you should be safe to cross the finish line.
Kunimine closes right up through turn 7 and turns number 8. He's going to be close enough to have a lunge up the inside on the brakes down into this turn number 9. He sweeps to the inside, does he? No, Masaki brave and late on the brakes down into that tight hairpin. Through up the hill now, through turns number 10. It will be all about how close Kunimine can get in the slipstream for an attack on the brakes at the final corner.
Yeah, they come out of turn number 11. Now these flowing sections through turn 12 and 13. You do see a lot of passing as they come around into 14. So this is 12, flick it right through 13. Will Kunimine make a move? No, it is all about the drive out of this final turn. This is where he needs to be on the rear wheel of Masaki to make his move into the final corner.
So it's all about this slipstream, then down the back straight, the battle between Misaki and Kinimine for the set final race win of the Shell Advance Asia Talent Cup. Kinimine moves to the inside, he got a great slipstream down the straight. Kinimine back down through the gears, he's in a little bit too hot, he's not going to make it stick. Misaki brilliant on the brakes. Kinimine sweeps up the inside, but Sasaki's got the faster line coming out of the final corner. Will it be Misaki? It will. Misaki wins the final round of the 2015 Shell Advance Asia Talent Cup. What a fight for the win. Third place goes to Noradin, right on the line from Atirat Puvapat, Yuta Dati and Shafiq Rasul. Rasul put in his best lap of the race on the final lap, but finished in 6th place. The new champion, Ayuma Sasaki, was a disappointing 7th place. Then it was Azman, Anwar, Aguru, Yamanaka. They were inside the top 11 places. We'll run through the point scorers finishes as and when they come across the line. But what a brilliant last lap by Kazuki Misaki.
I mean, to hold your nerve going into that, he knew exactly that he'd have Kunimine trying to come up the inside, but he braked so late into that. I think Kunimine himself was a little bit surprised, ran wide, best line coming out of there, and yeah, just couldn't be slipstreamed to the finish. So I think fantastic job by Noradin. Yeah, Sasaki, like you say, the number 22, you would have thought maybe with that experience, winning races, winning the championship, that he, you know, may have been a bit smarter going into that final turn. But of course, we didn't quite see what ultimately happened in there.
Yeah, the point scoring finishes completed by Srimuntri Khairuddin, of course, the younger brother of Moto 3 Grand Prix rider Fahmi Khairuddin, and then it was Chen and Zhao that finished inside the top 15. Kinimine, well, he did everything he possibly could to end the season in perfect fashion, but he just couldn't quite get up the inside of Misaki at that final corner. There's Adam Noradin on the number 10. Delighted to finish in 3rd place. There he is, just telling Misaki I was 3rd in my home race here in front of my home crowd at Sepang for Noradin.
And that's only his that is only his second ever podium visit, and you know the first time here. I think you mentioned it earlier, Matt. That was also at Sepang in the support race to World Superbike class, where he finished in 2nd.
Yeah, Adam Noradin, home track of course, 17 years old from Malaysia. He'd like a few more of these Shell Advance Asia Talent Cup rounds to be staged in Sepang. He was on the podium last year in 3rd place, as Dylan said, 2nd in round 5 earlier on in the season. And back on the rostrum here today. Final results then, confirmation of a brilliant last couple of laps from Kazuki Misaki, taking the final round win ahead of race 1 winner Takuma Kinimine. Adam Noradin back on the podium for only the 2nd time this year in 3rd. Nakarinattarat Puvapat securing 4th place in the championship with 4th in the race ahead of Yuta Date. The top 6 completed by Shafiq Rasul. Ayumu Sasaki, the new champion, down in 7th place ahead of Azman, Anwar and Ayagura, completed the top 10.
Yeah, it was Yamanaka, good race in 11th place ahead of Srimuntri Khairuddin, the younger brother of Zulfami Khairuddin. Chen Zhou, then Erwin the Malaysian, Fukushima, and then rounding out the field, Australian rider Matt Barton. And of course, unfortunately, we had the crashes with Salim Rostam, Istihar and Kaita Fusei all by himself in that turn number 12.
Yeah, it was a shame because that battle for 3rd place, you feel, would have definitely involved Salim Rostam. Now there he is though, the man in 2nd place. He secures 2nd place in the championship standings. Well, there is the race winner, Misaki, his 5th podium finish of the season, the 15-year-old from Japan. 6th he was in race 1 yesterday. He was less than a 2nd off the podium. He's made amends in brilliant fashion in the 2nd of the 2:13 lap races here in Sepang that conclude what's been a really entertaining and intriguing 2nd running of the Shell Advance Asia Talent Cup.
Yeah, also good that he cemented his 3rd place in the championship, so he ultimately finished only 10 points behind Kunimine. So Sasaki, still, obviously he is the champion. Behind him, Kunimine, Misaki and Atirat Puvapat also remains in 4th place. Here we have Norodin. What a fantastic ride from him. He'd shown so many glimpses yesterday in that race. And you know what, Matt? That was a tough group to be battling with. I mean, they were changing positions almost every time, just coming into turn 9, then round turn 10, and then into the final turn. So to hold your nerve, I think, especially the likes of Alberto Puig, Hiroshi Oyama, the mentors of that class, they'll be keeping a good eye out on people that have these kind of mature racing heads, you could call them.
Yeah, he must have got a really good drive out of that final corner, Norodin, because he did take that third place by almost 0.2 of a second from Atirat Puvapat. Atirat Puvapat took fourth by just over 100th of a second from Yuta Date. And as we said, the top 6 completed by Shafiq Rasool, who did briefly lead the race earlier on. Here's the key moment, though. Winning overtake by Masaki down on the brakes into that turn number 4. And this was down at the final corner. Kinimine thought he got close enough on the slipstream. He did just about draw level as they peeled into that final corner. Looked like Masaki might have just run out a little bit wide, but he had actually got the faster line out of that turn number 15. He was just able to get on the throttle that split second earlier than Kinimine.
Yeah, the bike just upright, yeah.
No chance for Kinimine then to respond. It was very close over the line. Number 2 there on the left-hand side of your picture, Masaki, taking the checkered flag and the victory by just 0.06 of a second. Great sportsmanship there shown by the 2 Japanese riders. Good to see. It's all blood and thunder and cutthroat competition when you're in the race, yeah. But when the checkered flag comes out, well, there's that battle for third, won by Adam Norodin. Number 3 there, Shafiq Rasool. He looked pretty angry that he didn't finish on the podium.
Well, yeah, we unfortunately didn't see what happened in that final turn. But for them to be fanned out like that, 5 next to each other, dragging towards the line.
So the championship, we already knew coming into this final round at Sepang that Ayumu Sasaki was the champion. Takuma Kinimine with the first and second here in Malaysia secured 2nd place. Kazuki Masaki closes the championship in winning style, though. He secured 3rd place ahead of Nakarine Atirat Puvapat. Yuta Date was the big winner this weekend. He climbed up 3 places into 5th place in the standings.
Yeah, looking a bit further down, we had Asman climb up. Rostam, he did go down. Rasool up one. Anwar down. Yamanaka, Kaito Fusei, of course, because of that crash, also down another place.
Points this year as well for the likes of the Chinese duo Chen and Zhao, the Australian Lachlan Taylor. Luther, when we saw in that race a little bit earlier on, he was just outside the points in 16th.
So here we go, podium celebrations. Once again, we have a Japanese winner. This time, though, it is not Kunimine, it is his rival Masaki. But the first man out, Adam Norodin, the local boy.
Kinimine coming on to the runner-up spot this time around, but the race winner, Masaki, brilliant performance, great last lap from the number 2, Kazuki Masaki, takes his 2nd victory of the season. And as we said, that was good enough to secure him 3rd place in the standings. There's a 3rd place trophy then going to 17-year-old Malaysian Adam Norodin. His 2nd podium finish in 2015. Great way to finish the season in front of your home crowd.
Kunimine, a very worthy 2nd, put up a great fight. 2nd place in the championship, 2nd place in the race today. He's no doubt going to be a little bit disappointed, but what a race he put in both yesterday and today.
And the winning trophy about to be presented to Kazuki Masaki. Great to see the Dorna CEO, Carmelo Espeleta, handing over the winner's trophy. Of course, this Dorna initiative to find and unearth young talent in this Asia-Pacific region, paying dividends with the likes of Sasaki, Masaki and Kinimine as we break for the Japanese national anthem.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen.
So Kazuki Masaki victorious in the final round of the 2015 Shell Advance Asia Talent Cup here at the Sepang International Circuit in Malaysia. Pause for the obligatory celebration photos with Dorna CEO Carmelo Espeleta. So there you go, that's the final podium finish of the season. It's been a great second year of the Shell Advance Asia Talent Cup. Have a safe and successful winter, and we look forward to you joining us again in 2016. Goodbye from Malaysia.